Imagine hiking deep into the sweltering Florida wilderness. The air is thick, mosquitoes buzz relentlessly, and just off the trail you spot a lone yellow tent. You call out, no answer. You unzip the flap, expecting an empty campsite, but instead you find a lifeless body. No ID, no phone, just a notebook filled with cryptic, incomprehensible code. For law enforcement, it was a terrifying dead end. The case grew ice cold, but they underestimated a different kind of detective force. Millions of strangers armed with keyboards, obsessed with the truth. These are three chilling mysteries that were completely solved by the internet. Case 1. The Enigma of Mostly Harmless. It's July 23rd, 2018. Two hikers are navigating the treacherous terrain of Big Cypress National Preserve in Florida. Off the beaten path, they stumble upon a yellow tent. Inside, a horrifying discovery: the emaciated body of a man weighing just 83 pounds. When police arrive, they find cash, food, and high-end hiking gear. But there's no wallet, no phone, no identification of any kind. The only clue to his identity is a small, waterlogged notebook filled with pages and pages of complex programming code. The autopsy reveals no obvious signs of foul play, no drugs, no fatal injuries. He simply starved to death in a tent full of food. Detectives are baffled. They released a composite sketch hoping someone would recognize him. Nothing. Then they released actual photographs of his face taken by other hikers before he died. This is where the internet took over. Images of the mystery man spread like wildfire across Reddit, Websleuths, and Facebook. Trail angels and fellow hikers came forward, saying they had met him on the Appalachian Trail. He was quiet, polite, and introduced himself only by his trail name. Mostly Harmless. But who was he? For 2 years, an army of amateur digital sleuths dug into every granular detail. They analyzed his gear, a specific brand of tent, a unique type of hiking boot, trying to trace purchase records. Tech-savvy Redditors transcribed the cryptic code from his notebook and discovered it was written for Screeps, an obscure multiplayer programming game. They scoured the game's servers looking for inactive players who matched his timeline. Every lead seemed to hit a brick wall, but the internet never sleeps. In late 2020, a breakthrough happened. The digital community raised thousands of dollars to fund an advanced DNA extraction through Othram Inkomon. The DNA profile was uploaded to genetic genealogy databases. Concurrently, a dedicated Facebook group with over 5,000 members kept his face circulating. Finally, a match. A former coworker from Louisiana saw the photos and made the connection. His name was Vance Rodriguez. He was a brilliant tech worker from New York. But here is where the story takes a dark turn. The internet didn't just uncover his name, they uncovered his past. Rodriguez wasn't a peaceful wanderer. He had a history of severe mental health struggles and a highly abusive past. He had intentionally severed ties with everyone he knew, wiped his digital footprint, and walked into the swamp to disappear forever. He wanted to be a ghost, but the collective obsession of the internet dragged his secrets back into the light. Case 2. The Face of Grateful Doe. Let's rewind to June 26th, 1995. Emporia, Virginia. A Volkswagen van is tearing down the highway when the driver falls asleep at the wheel. The van veers off the road, crashing into trees and erupting into a massive fireball. Both occupants are killed instantly. The driver is quickly identified as 21-year-old Michael Hogger. But the passenger? He is burned beyond recognition. Investigators search his pockets and find 4 quarters, a yellow Bic lighter, a cryptic note addressed to Jason, and 2 ticket stubs for a Grateful Dead concert held just 2 days prior. He had a star tattoo on his left arm and was wearing a tie-dye shirt. For nearly 20 years, this young man sat in a nameless grave. He became known simply as Grateful Doe. Law enforcement exhausted every resource, but the trail was completely dead. Fast forward to 2014. A user on an Australian true crime forum uploaded the police sketches and facial reconstructions of Grateful Doe to Imgur. From there, it hit the front page of Reddit. The internet exploded. A dedicated subreddit, r/Grateful Doe, was formed, amassing thousands of members overnight. They weren't just reading, they were mobilizing. Users cross-referenced Grateful Dead tour dates, dug through thousands of hours of grainy bootleg concert footage, and scrutinized old photographs hoping to catch a glimpse of the star tattoo or the tie-dye shirt. But here's the terrifying question that haunted the forums. How could a mother not report her own son missing for 20 years? The answer was closer than they thought. In January 2015, a Reddit user saw the reconstructed images and recognized the man as his old roommate from the mid-90s. He provided a first name, Jason. The digital army pivoted. Using this new lead, internet sleuths scoured old public records and social media, eventually tracking down a woman named Marjorie in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. When reporters and police finally contacted Marjorie, the heartbreaking truth came out. She hadn't reported him missing because Jason was a nomadic free spirit. He frequently traveled across the country following bands, sometimes going months without calling. She thought he was just out there, living his life off the grid. She had no idea her son had died violently just days after he left home in 1995. Because of the relentless dedication of strangers on the internet, Jason Callahan finally got his name back. Case 3. The Motel Mystery of Lyle Stevik. September 14, 2001. A young man walks into the Connaught Inn in Amanda Park, Washington. He's carrying no luggage. He checks into room number 5 using the name Lyle Stevik. He provides a fake address in Idaho. Over the next few days, he is barely seen. On the morning of September 17th, the housekeeper knocks on his door. When there's no answer, she enters. She finds the man dead. He had hung himself with his own belt in the closet, but this wasn't a standard suicide. It was a calculated erasure of existence. The man had systematically destroyed any clue to his identity. He removed the labels from his clothing. He threw away his toothpaste and toothbrush. The name he used, Lyle Stevik, wasn't real. It was the name of a suicidal character from a Joyce Carol Oates novel. He left a note on the nightstand that simply read, "For the room," accompanied by $160 in cash to cover his stay and tip the maid. For 17 years, law enforcement had a face, fingerprints, and DNA, but absolutely zero matches in any database. Enter the r/Lyle Stevik subreddit. This digital community became utterly obsessed. They analyzed the specific knot used in his belt. They traced the brand of his unmarked jeans. They even tracked down the manufacturer of the pen he used to write the suicide note. But traditional internet sleuthing couldn't penetrate the wall this man had built around his identity. They needed science. In 2018, the DNA Doe Project, a volunteer organization utilizing genetic genealogy, took the case. The Reddit community successfully crowdfunded thousands of dollars to pay for the expensive DNA extraction from his preserved blood samples. Once the DNA profile was built, it was uploaded to open-source databases like GEDmatch. Then, volunteer genealogists many of them self-taught internet researchers, began the grueling work of building massive family trees from distant cousins. It took hundreds of hours of cross-referencing census records, obituaries, and digital archives. Slowly, the net closed in. They traced the lineage back to a family in California. The family had a son who walked out of their lives in the late 90s. They thought he was estranged, living under a new name, refusing to contact them. They never knew he was lying in a morgue in Washington state. The family requested that his real name remain completely private. Out of respect, the internet community complied. The man who tried so desperately to erase himself from the world was finally sent home, his mystery solved by a web of strangers he never lived to see. The internet is often criticized as a toxic, chaotic wasteland. But in the darkest, coldest corners of forgotten history, it transforms into the greatest detective agency the world has ever seen. These cases prove that when law enforcement hits a wall, the web wakes up. The collective power of millions of minds united by a single screen is an unstoppable force. It's a chilling reminder in the digital age, it's almost impossible to disappear forever. Someone, somewhere, is always looking. Which of these terrifying, unsolved turned solved cases sent the biggest chill down your spine? Was it the cryptic notebook of Mostly Harmless? Or the calculated disappearance of Lyle Stevik? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to dive deeper into the rabbit hole of internet mysteries, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You never know what terrifying truth we'll uncover next.